I've been watching some of these police audit videos and First Amendment audits and police interaction audits. And I'm going to give you some advice. Some of the auditors will argue against this because they say it's violating your rights. But I'm going to lay this out for you, and if you watch this all the way through, it's going to make perfectly good sense to you, and you're going to understand why. And it all comes down to a jury. That's what this is all going to come back to. It's going to come back to the jury. And so that's why I'm going to explain this to you, and it will make sense to you. I live in Florida, and I own a convertible. I like driving around with my top down because I drive truck over the road. I spend a lot of time up north, so I can drive with my top down in the winter in Florida, and I'm still comfortable. There's a major advantage to this. Because I own a convertible and the top is almost always down, if I ever get pulled over when I'm with my phone running like this, and even if I just have it sitting there, it's obvious the top is down on my car. An officer can't walk up, and try to say he smells pot in my car or he smells alcohol in my car, because it's nearly impossible. What happens is when an officer walks up to your car and all your windows are up, and then you roll that window down when the officer comes up to your car, it's easy to say, especially when you have this all on videotape, it's easy for an officer that might not be an honest officer to lie and say, I smell alcohol, or I smell marijuana. And it's kind of hard for you to argue against it. I mean, you can know that it's perfectly true that there is no smell of marijuana, but it's hard for you to articulate that to a jury. But as soon as you see them red lights, if you don't have a convertible with the top already down, it's kind of hard to throw the top down when he pulls you up while he's pulling you over. But roll all your windows down while you're still pulling over. This way, by the time he has you pulled over, your windows are already down, and air's already rushed through your car. And if it's windy out, that's even going to work better to your favor, because it's nearly impossible for them to say then that they smelled marijuana or alcohol in the car. And it's almost impossible for them to articulate that to a jury. So it's in your advantage to roll your windows down. As soon as you see the lights, roll all your windows down. Most cars have power windows anymore, unless you're driving a classic car, or a really old classic car. Because, even most cars from the 80s, it wasn't uncommon for cars from the 80s. So it's really, the average car on the road today has power windows. Just roll your windows down. That's going to work to your advantage. That's number one. I know what people are going to say, but trust me. We're talking about how this would all articulate in a jury. Especially, let's say, when they violate your rights and this all comes down to a lawsuit. So we're talking about how you want this to look to a jury. So just roll all your windows down, right off the top. Roll all your windows down. And the only way an officer could really smell alcohol on you then is if you are drunk. You have to have drank enough alcohol to be legally drunk to be able to still smell alcohol in the car. Or you need to have a car full of drunks to still smell alcohol in the car. This actually happened to me once in the convertible. I had a couple people in the car, and they were so drunk that as soon as I got out the car, there was no more smell of alcohol. And so it was but they were reeking so bad of alcohol that was still, there was just no way around it. They were really, really drunk. But because of the video, on the officer's dash cam. As soon as I got out the car and I'm walking perfectly straight and standing straight and I'm not leaning against the car or nothing and I'm standing straight. So, it was kind of hard for him to be able to articulate that, it was me. But as soon as he was honest and he said, okay, I can already tell that you haven't been drinking. He was honest about it. But that's, in most cases, unless you got a car full of drunks, they're not going to be able to smell alcohol in the car. So it's in your favor to have the windows down, because it is hard for them to articulate that they smelled alcohol or marijuana. If they decide to use alcohol as it, and you ain't been drinking, it's probably in your best interest to tell them that you want to blow into the tube. Yes, there's some indiscrepancies with that, but it's usually if you've had a drink. If you have not had a drink, it's almost impossible to fail that breathalyzer. So there's ways to always you got to think about, whenever you get pulled over by a cop, think about a jury. Just keep the jury in your mind and think you want the jury to see what's on your video, and you want them to be on your side from the get-go. So the first thing, by them windows all being down and that's obvious on your video, the jury's already going to say, well, how the hell could he smell alcohol and marijuana? The windows are all down in the car. Or in the case of a convertible, for me, the top's always down. How the hell could he smell alcohol or she smell alcohol or marijuana? The top's down on the car. The jury's already going to have a hard time wrapping their head around that. So the jury's already leaning in your favor. The other thing is, have your license, your registration, and your insurance already ready. This again is because you want the jury in your favor. When the officer walks up to the car, just hand them your license, your registration, and your insurance, and say, from this point on, I wish to exercise my Fifth Amendment right. Now this again, because you had all your paperwork ready for the officer, and you gave it to the officer politely, and you politely tell the officer that you're wishing to, from that point forward, to exercise your Fifth Amendment rights. Again, this is all on your video now. Again, the jury's going to hear that you're calm, cool, collective, and polite, and that you exercised your Fifth Amendment right. The jury is leaning even further in your court now. You pretty much got them in your court now. If an officer asks you to do something, you don't have to do that. So don't be like, no, I'm not doing that. You've already exercised your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. So just remain silent. You don't have to do anything the officer asks you to do. This is the key point. Asks. So if the officer says, do you mind getting out of the car? Just sit there. You've already exercised your Fifth Amendment right. Don't get all... Just sit there nice and calmly, just doing what you're doing. Just sit there nice and calm. And then when the officer says, I asked you to step out of the car. Again, he's asking. You do not have to do anything a police officer asks of you. When the officer says, I'm ordering you to step out of the car, just step out of the car. Again, this is about, because you're protecting yourself. This is what this all comes down to. It's about protecting yourself. And you need to make sure that you're protecting yourself in the eyes of the jury. You want the jury on your side. You have to assume that the officer is going to do one of three things. The officer is going to just do his job and let you go about your way, or the officer is going to try to find some way to violate your rights, or the officer is going to try to make you do something so that they have probable cause. Those are the three things that are going to happen. So, best case scenario is everything's going to go fine. The officer's going to hand you back your license, registration, and insurance. And if there was something that you did, he's going to give you the ticket for it. There's no point in trying to argue the ticket on the side of the road. I mean, unless they say something like you didn't have your seatbelt on, in which case it might even be in your favor to not even argue that, because you might find out that you have a lawsuit because the officer lied because you have it on video that your seatbelt was on. So, arguing with the cops really is not in your favor, because it starts opening up for them to be able to use probable cause and provocation to make you argue more and more, to the point where it gets escalated and then they have the right to use force. So, you never want to argue with the cop. That's the whole point. You never want to argue with a police officer. You want to be polite and assertive. And silence is your best way to be assertive. Silence is your best friend. Ask any lawyer this. When I'm done with this video, show this. If you know a lawyer, show this video to your lawyer, and the lawyer will tell you, yes, what he has said is absolutely right. This is the best way to go about this. Everything he's saying is 100% correct. This is what he just said. This is absolutely perfect. When the officer orders you to get out of the car, even if they're ordering you unjustifiably, just get out the car. Because if they're doing anything now that's infringing on your rights, a civil rights lawyer is going to pick up the case, and the civil rights lawyer is going to take this to trial for you, because the civil rights lawyer is going to know everything that they did wrong, that the officer did wrong, and you're going to walk away with a paycheck. That's the whole point of this. So just politely get out of the car. If the officer puts you in cuffs, don't restrain. Whatever happens, that's the whole point. Do not argue with the officer. Do not restrain from the officer. Do not do anything that they can do to harm you. That's the whole point. It's about protecting your rights. Take note as to whether or not the officer is wearing a body cam. If the officer is wearing a body cam, again, that's going to work to your favor too. Because if the officer tries to plant anything in your car, we've seen this. There's actually video of this where, because they're wearing a body cam, they actually get caught planting shit in your car. There's actually a big case right now in Florida where this officer, I can't remember the name of it, but you can find it on YouTube. It was a sheriff. He pulled over a lady in a pickup truck, and it's obvious. It's right there on his body cam. He's planting evidence in this woman's car. He planted drugs in her car, and it's all on the body cam. So just remain silent. Do not argue with the officer. The only thing you want to do is you want to remain silent, and you want to remain calm, and do not do anything the officer asks you to do once you told him you wish to exercise your Fifth Amendment. Like I said, you do not have to do anything an officer asks you to do. You have to do what the officer orders you to do, and anything that could be assumed that the officer is asking you to do or ordering you to do. That means if the officer politely says to you, do you mind getting out of your car? You don't have to do that. Do you mind doing this? Do you mind doing that? Do you mind answering this? Do you mind? Do you mind? When they say it like that, or they articulate in a way where they're obviously asking you, just keep your hands on the wheel, or like this here with your phone, and just remain calm and remain silent. Once they start saying, I'm demanding, that's an order. Once they use the word I am demanding, that is an order. Once they say I'm ordering, that is an order. Once they say if you refuse, That is an order. That is the whole point. You need to know what the key words are. Demand, order, once you refuse. It's all in the way they articulate all in the way that they articulate what they say to you. So once these things happen, then like when they say, I'm demanding you get out of the car, get out of the car. When they say, I'm ordering you to get out of the car, get out of the car. If they say, if you refuse to get out of the car, these are consequences, get out the car. Because now you're out, now everything you do is under duress. Again, but remain calm. Because any civil rights violations, you're going to be able to show that video to a attorney, especially a civil rights attorney, and the civil rights attorney is going to pick that up for you. They're going to take that case for you, and they're going to take that case for you without you having to pay up front, because they know it's an open and shut case. They know they can win this case in front of a jury, so they're going to be willing to take that case, because then you don't have to pay them up front to fight for you. If you're arguing with the cop and this and that, then there's a chance that, the jury's going to sway in the favor of police. Because here's the problem with juries. Juries have it in their mind. Juries are misinformed. When you watch these, what these auditors are talking about, they're talking about, this is what you're allowed to do. But sometimes they get the first mistake they make is they just talk. I mean, a real auditor would just keep their mouth shut. They wouldn't say nothing. They would just keep their mouth shut. But they still, some of them, they push the boundary. They want to push the boundaries. And, that's their right. And some of them get away with it and they do it well. But most of us, you're just not practiced enough where you can pull that off. So the best thing in your favor is to keep your mouth shut. Don't try to be like some of these auditors. I mean, I watch some of them, and some of them I actually like, and but I wouldn't do what they do, because I'm not practiced enough to do what they do and get away with it and make it work in my favor. I mean, that's what it all comes down to. It's making it work in your favor. So the best thing you can do is just keep your mouth shut. But what these auditors are doing, they're doing it because they're trying to inform the populace. And because the populace is so misinformed and miseducated, the jury tends to be misinformed and miseducated. But by you, like I said from the very beginning, once you hand them your documents and you politely tell them from that, you say, here's my license, my registration, my insurance, and from this point forward, I wish to remain silent, and you're doing it politely, the jury's already saying, okay, you've asserted yourself politely, and so the jury's already leaning to you. They're saying, okay, everything he did was polite. This is a nice guy. This is, and he's doing everything that we're told you're supposed to do. And you've already exercised your Fifth Amendment. And every juror understands that you have the right to remain silent. So from that point forward, when you all they see you doing is exercising your right. And so the jury doesn't understand everything that the police officer tries to say that you did wrong from that point forward, the jury doesn't understand it. Now, your lawyer is going to explain to the jury, it's here all on video. The officer asked, but my client understood that he doesn't have to do anything the officer asked, because he's already exercised his Fifth Amendment. And once the officer orders you, that's where the lawyer is going to point out, this here is the point where my client's rights were violated. But because he was ordering in such a manner, my client knew to protect his own personal safety just to do it. Now he is acting under duress, and that is why he has done this. This is why he got out the car, or she got out the car. And this is where your lawyer is going to be able to articulate all this, and your lawyer is going to win this case for you, because he's going to bring the jury all to your side, because the whole time you remained calm, you remained silent, and you didn't show any signs of force, and you didn't show any signs of restraint, even though your rights were being violated. And that is the whole point. And that's the point of this video. And that's what you need to take away from this video. That's why you need to watch this video over a couple times, and you need to run this all through your mind, and it will all make sense to you. Knowing your rights isn't always the best thing. Knowing that the officer is violating your rights and trying to argue that can work against you in a jury. Because you need to remember, you're dealing with a misinformed public. And you need to think, from the moment you see them lights come on, I need the jury on my side. If my rights get violated, I'm going to get a paycheck. And from that point forward, remain silent. Just give politely, because you need to remember, driving a vehicle, in a car it's the easiest. On the side of the road, that's where things start getting into the gray, because states have, like Florida, have a stop and ID. But even that there, you don't need to carry ID on you. But we do need to tell the officer, since Florida is a stop and ID state, which is an infringement on your constitutional rights, but that, again, you're dealing with a misinformed public. When an officer asks you to identify yourself in a state like Florida with a stop and ID state, you just simply state, my name is such and such, my birthday is such and such, and I reside at such and such, and from this point forward, I wish to exercise my Fifth Amendment rights. You've ID'd yourself. And from that point forward, again, just do everything like I told you to do about being in the car. And if the officer violates any of your civil rights, a civil rights attorney will pick that case up for you, and they will fight that case for you, because they will be able to articulate to the jury where your rights were violated and how your rights were violated and where the officer was wrong. And the jury's going to be completely on your side, because the whole time of this whole thing, even with your rights being violated, you did everything that the jury, in their misinformed mind, they're going to look at it and they're going to say, yeah, but he did everything that we're told you're supposed to do. He remained calm, or she remained calm. You remained civil. You were not rude. Everything that you're told you're supposed to do, even in the case of violating your rights, you've done. So the jury is going to be, by the end of it all, everything that the jury is going to be completely on your side. And so now, once the lawyer shows where your rights have been violated, the jury is going to find in your favor. So you need to think about it. It's almost worth letting your rights be violated, because you can be paid for letting your rights be violated. So just think about it like that. You can be paid for letting your rights be violated. So just remain calm, composed, and exercise your right in that fashion. I mean, even the whole point of, in states where you don't have to ID, just tell them, my name is such and such, my birthday is such and such, I reside at such and such, and from this point forward I wish to remain silent. And if you're videoing it, and the best thing you could be doing, in all honesty, the best thing you could be doing is live streaming it. If you can download an app that's going to be live streaming, just live stream it. And as soon as the officer asks you to put your hands, and always have your phone set so that it will go to a lock, password lock. And as soon as the officer asks you to put your hands behind your back, hit your power button. As soon as you hit your power button, they cannot get into your phone and they can't delete your video. And it was all live. So now you got witnesses that watched it and they seen it, especially on Facebook. If you got friends and family, this is all live. So your friends and family are going to be like, what the hell's going on there? Because they're going to see that, you're pulled over and such, and they see the officer. So then they're going to be curious. Because you know how it is when you scroll through and you see the image. So just do it like that. And it's going to work to your favor. Because and the officer might try to say, once you hit that power button and he realizes what you did, the officer might try to say, oh, he became belligerent and this and that. But the jury's going to be like, I don't see it. They're going to, because they're going to be looking at what happened. And so if the officer doesn't have a body cam, they're going to be like, well, all we have is this footage to go on. But the whole time you were cool, calm, and collected. So how did you become belligerent? You even said, okay, I'll put my hands behind my back, and as you're putting your hands behind your back, then hit the power button. This way here, the officer, because it's your word against his. But it's kind of hard for someone to say, someone that's been cool, calm, and collective, all of a sudden, for no reason at all, they became belligerent. It's hard to frame you because you have the video evidence in your favor to show how this all went. And from the whole point in time, you were never argumentative, you were never combative, you were never hostile. And so it all works to your favor. So that is the best way to, in a traffic stop or just walking down on anything. Once an officer comes up to you, if an officer just walks up to you and says, hey, how are you doing? You can even say, my name is such and such, my birthday is such and such, I reside at such and such, and from this point forward I wish to exercise my Fifth Amendment right. And it's all, from that point forward, you're protected. And just remain silent. Just shut up. And do not argue. Do not let the officer pull you into an argument. Do not let the officer instigate you into an argument. Not let the officer antagonize you. Just shut up. Keep your mouth shut. And the jury's on your side. Just remain cool, calm, collective, and silent. And the jury will be on your side. You have all the cards in your deck. You got, it's a royal flush. It's like having a royal flush at the poker table. You can't lose. Just remain silent, cool, calm, and collected. Even if you know they're violating your rights, remain silent, remain cool, remain calm, and remain silent. Remain silent. That is the number one thing. Remain silent. Once you said you wish to exercise your Fifth Amendment right, from that point forward, do not say another word. A jury is going to 99.9% of the time be on your side. The only way you're going to lose that case from that point forward, once your rights were violated, is if they had a body cam and you did become combative or belligerent or vulgar or anything. Just remain silent and remain calm. Just do what you said you wished to do. Exercise your Fifth Amendment right. And that is how you exercise your Fifth Amendment right and you protect your civil rights. That is the number one, best, easiest way to do it. Some people will argue you don't have to give the cops your license and registration and this and that, or you don't need the ID. But the point is, you need to think, how an uninformed jury is coming into the courtroom to begin with. That's the point. That's what this is all about. The jury. This isn't about you. This is about the jury that you want on your side. Like I said, if you know any lawyers, show this to the lawyer. A defense lawyer or a civil rights lawyer. And both of them, I guarantee you, show it to an ACLU lawyer. All of them are going to say the same thing. They're going to be like, that's absolutely 100% correct. Trust me. Show it to them.